Jill Whitney talks about the fact that love, caring, and attention definitely matters in a relationship, right? But that's not enough, right? Like we said, it's not enough. There's a need for common values, life goals, and compatibility about money, right? You can love yourself, but if you don't have compatibility around money, you're going to have issues. One person feels that you should have an NGO or a foundation. The other person doesn't understand why you have an NGO when he needs to buy a boat, another car, you know. So those things need to be worked out, otherwise there will be conflict. I mean, there's nothing, neither is right or wrong. It's just difference in personality, and the two need to discuss on how to respect the three people in that relationship, which is you, me, and we. You know, Gallagher had to read and says marriage is as much a business relationship as it is a romantic relationship, right? And that's why I was talking about business earlier on, that, you know, you don't have to have a company to have a business. Everything we do is a business transaction. Life is a business transaction, right? Every time we talk to somebody, you're buying something, you know, selling something, discussing with someone, promising someone something, living up to it. All of those are business transactions, right? And it helps you know how to do it well, right? So it says too many people don't realize this, and they forget about it in the true romantic attraction, right? People miss the fact that life itself is a business transaction. You know, Nordstrom adds to it and says, suddenly income and finances are the biggest reason couples fight or even break up. You know, so there's a need to discuss that, you know, and come to a level ground that works for the family, you know. And so some people avoid it. It's all right, let's stay away from that issue. That issue is the one that brings trouble. You know, you keep it to yourself, but you are boiling inside, right? And all of us have a boiling point, right? If you don't discuss it, you're going to blow up one time. It might just blow up at the wrongest of time. So it's good to treat issues. It's good to handle issues. My experience of marriage is the fact that it's always good to address issues. Don't leave issues, you know, lying, and, you know, because it breaks up at the wrongest of time. That's why people have to divorce after 25 years, because they've been managing the issues they should have resolved when they were 5 years in marriage, right? Because if you don't marry it, it's becoming a monster. It only gets worse and more difficult to handle. So if you leave it for 20 years, it now has a lifespan of 20 years. It's more difficult to resolve after 20 years than you could have resolved it when it was just 5 years, right? That's what causes divorce, you know, of people after many years of marriage. And you wonder why, you know, why you divorced after 30 years, 25 years, 40 years. Because they did not deal with the issues they need to deal with, you know, at the right time. So it becomes such a big one, and you now say, oh, I cannot live with it again. But you can't solve it. You can't solve something you've allowed to go for 20 years. You're not going to solve it in one day, 1 week, 1 month. You know, it's going to need time, all right, to resolve, you know, but then people have whatever reason are not able to wait. And, you know, that's what causes trouble, you know. But the key thing is to be able to discuss money issues between anybody you're in a relationship with and resolve the issues. And it has to be a win-win, you know. You're not shooting for a win-lose. You know, everybody has to be fairly taken care of, you know. So that's important. And that's just the 5 things that we're just going to discuss here in order to be able to enjoy money as a relationship, you know, as a family. You know, the first thing is we need to accept one another, accept that we're different. You know, we're not the same, you know. My wife is a woman, I'm a man. That alone, we're different. We're wired differently. Right? Again, because of where she's placed in the family, we're different. Because of our parents and our relationship with our parents, we're different. Because of our siblings, we're different. You know, we're just different in any way. And it helps to be able to understand, each person understanding who I am, right? Understanding who I am, then understanding who your spouse is, then come to some common ground, right? So while you're taking care of who you are, who I am, and who we are, who do we want to be in this relationship? You need to define all three, then begin then to help all three to grow, you know. So number two is the key thing. We need to communicate, right? We need to talk about it. There's nothing too big or too small to talk about. It needs to be ironed out. Assumption would say is the lowest level of knowledge. If you assume, you could always assume wrongly. You might just be suffering in silence, in vain, something that is not even exists in existence, only because you did not discuss and talk about it, and get over it. Anyway, in doing talking, it's important, obviously, to be respectful of each other's personality and each other's upbringing, each other's financial goals and priorities, right? Nothing should be discounted, right? Respect it. It's important that in discussing and coming to some agreement, there's respect, of each other's position, and then create the necessary boundaries. Boundaries come in different ways. For me, boundaries are, might be around the things I do for my family, might be the things we do for each family, and it helps to fight to work out what works best. That means you have your account, I have my account, we have our account, right? And I should be able to spend money on what is mine, the way I choose to do it. So we need to work out whatever boundaries works for you. The key thing is that whatever helps that relationship, then does not create unnecessary disharmony, as it were. I don't ever check my wife's accounts. I don't ever even check her phone. She's free to use her money whichever way she chooses to. And I expect the same of myself, even as much as I open up everything to her. We need to respect each other's individuality without hurting the relationship, the marriage. And the last thing is just, in all of that, we need to be fair to one another. It has to be a win-win or no deal. It's not a win-lose or lose-win. Everyone has to be fairly taken care of, and be happy in the union to be together.